If something snuck up on me and busted me upside my head, right? I want to know, how did you get me like that? And then if you did, how can I avoid that happening to me again? And then once I'm successful with that, then I want to know, who else is like me that I can teach how not to get busted upside the head like I just did,
Mm,
right?
mm.
I'm not going to explain to you how I'm going to talk to my sisters in my language and in our language. That's our
Yeah.
language. Those things that are those skills that were either created or sharpened during trauma, though that's what makes me have some of that x-ray vision that other people don't.
Mm.
I'm not the only sister who got trauma upgrades. All y'all got them too. And let's start learning that that is generational wealth.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Coffee No Cream podcast. My name is Erin Braxton, and I am the host of Coffee No Cream. Here on Coffee No Cream, we are unapologetically dedicated to Black women, and we share what I like to call Coffee No Cream moments, those things that happen to us Black women in business and in life just because we are Black. So today we have Courageous Fire, and yes, that is her name, Courageous Fire. And Courageous reached out to me and wanted to share with me about an event called the Homecoming for Black Women that she has coming up, and we're going to talk about that in the episode. But Courageous and I had a really, really cool conversation. She truly, truly, truly has the most profound, amazing way to look at the trauma that we go through as Black women. She coaches in organizations helping non-Black people deal with how their actions can affect Black women in their organizations. So really, really good stuff. I don't want you to miss it. Please stick around to the end. Also, we, like I said, get into a conversation about the homecoming event that Courageous is hosting in Chicagoland in October. Super exciting. And yeah, so stick around for that. Before we get into it, though, guys, please like, please share, please subscribe. We've got links below. We've got the Facebook group. Please join us. We've got our free educational resource tool with over 2,000 or almost 2,000 free educational resources. We had some issues with it over the past month, but I got that resolved just yesterday. So we're all good there. And I think that's it. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell so you're notified. Hype me up if you see that option. And yeah, so let's just get into the episode with Courageous. Welcome, Courageous. How are you today?
I'm good, sis. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So I'm really excited to have you on. I cannot wait to hear your story. Just more about you. Just the name alone, Courageous Fire, is just, there's a story behind it, right? We know there's a story behind it. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to get into your coffee no cream and what you got going on and what you want to share with us and all those things.
Yeah, so I won't get you with the name yet until you have a little bit more time for that. But I'm an author, a speaker, and uh, all the fancy stuff, right? I'm a systems change leader. But the thing is that I am a survivor of domestic violence, and
Mm,
because, as a Black woman, I wanted to know, this is just how my brain works. Like, if something snuck up on me and busted me upside my head, right? I want to know, how did you get me like that? And then if you did, how can I avoid that happening to me again? And then once I'm successful with that, then I want to know, who else is like me that I can teach how not to get busted upside the head like I just did,
mm,
right?
mm.
So then I want to know, if I find out that there were systems or other external factors that were responsible for that bust upside the head, then I'm like, okay, now I need to get in those spaces to make them less harmful. So, they call it systems change, but I'm really like, no, you were a part of that whole harm thing, and you're going to touch people that look and live like me. Now I got to get in there so you can't do that again. So that's how my work started, was how to stop the external factors and then how to deal with myself and other Black women, teach them how to deal with themselves so that we don't end up in harmful situations.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the work, just top line, and then we'll get into it.
Okay. Like, so why, as Black women, because we are powerful, because we are intuitive, how do we end up becoming people that are being taken advantage of like that? And it's learning those foundational truths about ourselves, right? People in our foundational phase came along and planted vulnerabilities because it suited them and what they were going to be able to extract from us. Well, when they finish using those, they don't pull up those stakes and take those with them. They leave those. Well, as we get older, we didn't understand that as a vulnerability. We just understand it as normality, right? So we grow up and then we just function in that normality that was defined for us while we were being formed and understanding life, relationships, ourselves, and all of that. Other folks come along and go, "Oh, look, there's somebody with that vulnerability I'm good at exploiting. I'll get them." So, yes, is there something that's written on my forehead we ask ourselves and ask each other? Yeah, there is. I'm just teaching you how to read that writing yourself.
So explain the type of work that you're doing with women on a daily basis.
Sure. So, the work that I do that benefits women on a daily basis is getting inside these systems. So, literally, I have stuff that's called uh, centers of must training, adult disposition training, internal stance training, because all of these get at your why. People always want to know, why doesn't implicit bias training stick? Because it's comes from this tone right here. You know, you have that bias, shame on you, you shouldn't be that way. Mine always comes from, hey, you know what, did you know that some of these things that you believe, did you know what they're steeped in? Do you know where they came from? Do you understand that these things actually cause harm? It's not, oh, you're so horrible. And it's like, now that you understand these things, let's work on building your capacity, because once we build that, guess what you get to do? Not stop doing that, shame on you, but no, you get to then be this amazing impact in the spaces that you touch and the people who you touch. Wouldn't you love to do that? Sure, we all would. Let me show you how. So that's what my work looks like in consulting or training or facilitation. That's what it looks like. And it's me going into those white led, white owned spaces, white built spaces and saying, hey, let's talk about some of the things that you think that impact what you perceive that make you decide this is the next natural or reasonable response. Let's talk about that. And my life is full of examples of how things like that had a negative impact on me as an individual. So when I'm standing in front of you and I'm saying, hey, this is a good example of internal disposition or internal stance and adult disposition and how it impacted a whole life trajectory. Boom. They're like, oh, that's why I, as a principal and an educator, should be thinking this way. Oh, I get it. That's how that work looks.
That's good. That's good. So, for those of you who are joining us for the first time here on Coffee No Cream, we like to share our Coffee No Cream moments, and I know Courageous has many. She's told me she has many, but she's going to share with us one of them, and I'm sure as we talk, we might get into more. It just sounds like we very well might. So, Courageous, please tell us one of your Coffee No Cream moments.
So I'm working on this national initiative for sisters because, I ride hard for us. I'm minding my business. I do a little LinkedIn post about this thing. Here comes, look, I'm plain speaking. So here come Mr. White Man
Yep.
saying, listen here, I know you said you're doing this event for Black women. Let me explain to you who I am and why you need to explain to me how you gonna do your event for Black women. I ain't attending, ain't got nothing to do with me, but I'm gonna get in your comments. So he says literally, trauma informed, culturally rooted agendas can land well with small group breakouts because trust builds faster. So will you use facilitated circles, anonymous Q&A, or post-session feedback to shape engagement. What he was saying is, yeah, I know you created a sacred space just for Black women, but still, I demand that you explain to me why your space is valid. And so, a lot of things run through your mind.
Yeah.
I'm a Black woman, so, some cussing ran through my mind, some, other things ran through my mind. But what I came up with was, you know what, this is going to be my public teachable moment. I could say it in your DMs, but you didn't say it in my DMs. I don't have to be nasty, but we're going to learn here together. And so I literally walked him through, thank you for being curious about thus and so. But, number one, facilitated circles is a mainstream term. That's a formalized way, right? We're not doing formalized anything. This is a sacred ancestral space, culturally rooted space. So we're not using formalized methodology here. We're speaking that common language that we understand amongst one another to do that. So, in other words, translation is I'm not going to explain to you how I'm going to talk to my sisters in my language and in our language. That's our
Yeah.
language, and it's like, and that's the reason why this space is being cultivated as it is, because so often we are asked as Black women to validate our expertise, and there won't be any performative situations like that here. That's
Mm.
part of the safety of this space. But thank you so much for your input.
You know, um, I'm not sure exactly what all the posts said. Or were you connected to this person? Like, are y'all
No,
connected? It's just some like rando,
just
right?
just random dude driving
Yeah,
by.
yeah, 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 yeah. Um, and I love that, that the space that you're cultivating, the space that you're this initiative, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, you guys, is for Black women where we don't have to do the dance, the strategy, the BS. I've talked about this. This has come up. My last episode was about game and being in corporate spaces and these kinds of spaces. And, people will say, oh, I don't want to play games. I don't like to play games. As long as you're in their world, you're playing a game. Like as soon as you enter the door, it's game on, right? I don't care. Somebody wrote, oh, I've learned to maneuver. Game. That's game, right? So I love that, and he's trying to come in to now our spaces and tell us how we need to do things in our spaces where, listen, we don't need to do that in this space, right? There are areas of your life where probably you do not need to play game, right? But this is an interesting one following that topic because even in these social media streets, even online, right?
Mhm.
There is a way that we are expected to handle
Yes,
these situations,
yes,
and not in the way that we would like to handle said situations, right? Because of course I get people coming into my comments saying
of course.
terrible things. And when I first started the podcast, you're just so oh, like, look, I got a comment. Look, and you get over it after a while. And the idea is like a no stress zone. I don't want any Black woman to have to see some of this stuff. Some of this
Right.
stuff, I like the discourse. Let's have a conversation about it. But some of it is just like straight out hate, racism, and everything else. But
Mm,
just even having to navigate and be, I guess, polite in these situations. So, and it happens to a lot of us. Anybody who's out here posting, you're going to get this type of person that's going to come in, especially as a Black woman, and say something, sideways to you. Did he come back after you? Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
mhm.
particularly got a lot of comments. I did an episode with a girl. Her name is Stephanie Davis. And I've known her a very long time, since high school, actually. And she somebody had written KKK on her job when she left to go to lunch, and it was a whole incident, and they sent her home for the day. She's out here in this very white suburb, kind of almost country part of St. Louis,
Mm,
and I got a lot. It just tells you, because I put KKK, I think, in the thumb or something like that, so it attracts certain people and things like that. And I got a lot of comments. I got some comments from, I'm assuming, white men, who were searching for that, and that's why it came up for them, right? And that's their browse history. But anyway, have you found yourself in situations like that in the past? Because I want to talk a little bit about your
all the
trauma.
time,
Yeah,
all the
but just
time.
dealing with having to, I guess, I'm going to say game because I don't want to offend anybody, but, dealing with having to pacify people in this way, around what it is that you do, or even in your
Sure.
previous.
Both, but I mean, especially in the work that I do, which is the reason why I do not live in the States. I had to figure out where I could turn down the emotional hostility and turn up emotional safety for me because I knew I was going to keep doing this work for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not going to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's ways that I'm going to create spaces where sisters can go and rest a while, but it's not going to overtly change externally for us
Right.
in the United States, and I'm aware of that. And so it's like, okay, yeah, I had to pull away because it's everywhere, and it's definitely still in the consulting work that I do because I said, remember, I'm systems change. So I'm literally, that's my job to come in and talk to you about the way you are causing harm.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I have to deal with the white women's tears. And of course, I have to deal with but not me, because I'm Sally, well-intentioned, and I keep explaining in these spaces when I'm teaching, your intention never matters as much as your impact. It just doesn't. And so, yeah, there's those moments I'm doing something and somebody wants to know, well, I see you're doing all this work for black women. What about white women? I see you're doing all this such and so and so. Well, what about us? It's like, what about you? You have so many things that are specifically tailored. And let's just be real. When we're talking about any sort of violence prevention or victim services of any kind, we're always talking about what does that victim look like who is a middle-aged white woman. Like that's how all the services are constructed and directed, and put together. And so those people in the margins, there's nothing there. So it's like, well, beautiful, I don't need to make something for you. All these things were made with you in mind. I made something for the people who it doesn't include.
Mm-hmm.
So be glad. It was so beautiful. A white lady in the community one time spoke up for me, when somebody tried to jump in and do the whole hate thing, you're being divisive and this and that and the other. And I could tell by her name and then her profile when I checked, yep, white lady. She was just like, you know what? You should be glad that what Courageous is doing, you don't need.
Right.
Be glad you don't need it. So yeah, no, it happens all the time. And so I'm in a space where I don't have to, but this is the way that I've chosen to go about my work. So I'm going to come at you with love and compassion, and I'm going to treat you as though your intentions are to cause or to create good. I'm going to go with that assumption in the way that I work with you. Now, when your stuff comes up and we have to deal with that, I'm going to be gentle in my tone, but my words will always be direct. It's
Okay,
easy
great.
for people, I think, to take it. It's medicine and it's bitter. Because, like, but if I'm telling you, I mean, I told that man. I didn't make this space for you, and no, I'm not going to explain myself to you. That's why we
Mm-hmm.
over here and you over there. Like that's what I said.
Yeah.
But I said it with a gentle writing tone that nobody came for me in the comments. Even people that might have been on his team, no one said anything because of that combination. And I find that folks can take it and are willing to do more work that benefits who I'm trying to benefit in the first place, Black women.
Yeah.
They'll do more work that'll benefit us if I can make that medicine go down easier.
I want to know, like, what do you find most when you go into these environments, into these organizations, when you're dealing with these people and you're holding up the mirror in front of their face essentially and showing them why this is wrong and what they're doing is wrong and the effect that it's having. What do you find most? Like, do you find a general, like a similar reaction? Do you find empathy at all? Like, what do you see when you do this type of work?
Yeah, I remember when I first started it, people were like, nobody's going to pay you to tell them that they're wrong. I'm like, I said, well, it's not all I say, you know. So what I do find is empathy, but what I do find is um, excitement, really, which sounds weird, but I do. People are excited because many people have said, everybody tells us that we're wrong, but nobody tells us how to get it right. Your
Mm,
stuff gives us a specific, hey, this is where you got that backwards off the wall shit from. Now, here's how you actually fix that. And they're like, your steps are very clear on what to do, not just what not to do. And so people literally actually get excited about it because they're like, this is actionable.
so you find them to be genuine.
I think most people get excited. Let's just be clear, because most of my folks are victim services providers. Where's their money at? Us.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not serving the numbers that are highest impacted, then their funders are like, you're not very good at your job. Maybe you don't need as much money from us because you're not going to get the impact we need, right? So they have to be able to prove that they can pull down the numbers of the highest impacted communities, which are the most marginalized communities, which we are in. So them getting it right means them getting access to more money. So
Mm,
yeah, they're excited. It's
mm-hmm.
genuine.
Okay. Okay.
But I think despite themselves, the human aspect comes because I am a connector. I am a connector, and they feel a connection to me. And I think because I am a multi-hyphenate survivor, because I have had so many of the human experiences that we all are going to pass through, it makes me feel almost kind of like they know me already because there's something familiar about me. Well, my trauma is familiar because some of my trauma touches something that they've touched already. And so that makes me connectable to them already. The minute we start talking, they're like, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
So that human impact pulls them even closer into it. And there's space. I know that it is my trauma upgrades that allow me to be able to deal with a white woman who is literally turning this whole thing around to, oh, it's poor me. I'm so sad because I'm so hurt that I've done this harm. And now I'm going to cry for the next 10 minutes and we're going to talk about me. What allows me to show her compassion and turn her back around to, baby, we weren't talking about you. We're talking about this right here. This group of people that your actions are harming. Yep, here's some tissue. Turn back around because we're going to talk about this. That combination that I'm able to do are my trauma upgrades. But they allow me to take that excitement for, ooh, we're going to get more money and be able to pull it through like a thread to the things that I care about because I don't care about your money. I do care about the Black women you're impacting. So we're going to get both of them here. I get what I want, you get what you want, and we're going to figure out a way to blend these together. And usually it's pretty seamless.
I have a couple questions because my mind is going First of all, trauma upgrades. I haven't heard that. Tell me about that. And then I want
Yeah,
you to teach us how to deal with the white tears, like your personal, like I mean, it's a thing, you know.
it's a thing.
Mhm.
It's a thing.
Mhm.
Sure. Okay, so trauma upgrades, first of all. Um, One of the things that I was researching is, what does trauma and abuse owe me? When I realized how much of it has impacted my life, I'm like, no, if you done been through here and then burnt all that stuff down, I should be getting something from this. So I started thinking about reparations, and then I started like, we use words in context that we've learned, but we don't often look them up to see what their actual meaning and origin is. And so when I looked up reparations as far as all of that, like that's war based. If you are fighting a war and you lose, you, by the rules of war, owe the winner reparations. You have to pay because you didn't win. Y'all see me? I won, right? So
Mhm.
that means trauma and abuse, you owe me like not just lessons and wisdom. No, you owe me some cold hard cash. So that means that those things that are those skills that were either created or sharpened during trauma, though that's what makes me have some of that X-ray vision that other people don't.
Mm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so on us as Black women with my next phase of work because it's like, I'm not the only sister who got trauma upgrades. All y'all got them too. And let's start learning that that is generational wealth. We didn't just get trauma through our DNA, we also got a blueprint for generational wealth. Just like they passed that on to their kids, the trust funds and this and that, we can pass on understanding. Okay, these are my trauma upgrades. What are the gaps in society that these could actually fill in unique ways that nobody's ever filled those gaps before? Ha, that's my trauma reparations. Let me go get that because that's for me. We don't just go through shit just to go through it. Like
Yeah.
that's part of what we get to have ancestrally. That's birthright. Just
I
like
love
their
that.
little silver spoon is birthright, trauma upgrades, that's our birthright.
I love that. I've never heard that. And maybe I'm late. I just haven't heard that. Um,
You just haven't met me yet.
I hadn't. I hadn't. So give me an example though of one. Just give me
Yeah,
an example.
absolutely. So, one of the things that I learned as a child was how to listen to what people don't say. So, just because you said some things and then you paused, okay, in the pause, I'm reading all the other data. Now, as a child, I learned how to do that to stay out of trouble,
Hmm.
right? But that was a trauma upgrade because that was based on having abusive parents. So, you don't want to make them mad. You better learn how to read, when to be quiet, when to not ask a question, when not to do things. How did I learn when not to? By hearing what they didn't say out loud.
Mm.
That has done nothing but get stronger and more powerful, more clear over the years. Well, now I'm 57 years old. You don't think I know how to read and hear what's not being said? Oh, I do. So that allows me in a room. Okay, I'm doing my consultation. We're working on something. Somebody says something, somebody else says something, somebody else says something. All three of those people also didn't say something. I saw both. So now I can address how, first of all, I told you I'm a connector. So now I can address how those things that they said and didn't say are connected. And then I can decide what lessons need to be taught for the whole group that pertain to what we all need to learn. And now I'm going to incorporate that in. That's a trauma upgrade, but that's trauma reparations that I get to have. And yeah, that's why my rates ain't cheap because that wasn't cheap to me. I've
Yeah.
been learning that upgrade for years now, decades now. So yeah, it's going to cost you when I come because it didn't come cheap to me. But that's a trauma upgrade. Yeah, it was a liability and an upgrade.
That's fascinating. I mean, honestly, I have never heard anybody explain it like this. Because so often, and I'm not saying Black women do this, but people do sit in the victim mentality of what happened to them. And instead of doing that, I don't think we do that. I think we make the most of, and this could be for anybody. I'm just saying people will be like, oh, I had trauma. Oh, da 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 da. But you've taken it and you've found, I don't even want to say the good out of it. I don't, if I can even say that, but
You
you've
can.
extracted from it what you needed to extract as a survival skill, basically. As yes, so that's so
But we
fascinating.
all do it, but we just don't recognize it
We
as
don't.
that. I really want to piggyback on what you just said. You said
Mhm.
some people victimize. What Black women do is ignore,
We really do.
right? Because we're
We
like, I
have
just
no
got to get through
choice.
that. That shit
You
was
just gotta
terrible. I just got to bury that and I just got to keep it moving,
push
right?
on, push on. And I
But
think that
unbeknownst to us, even though we're going, I'm going to forget about that. I'm just going to push on, like you said,
mhm,
we're still using it. We're just not
yeah,
giving ourselves credit for
mhm.
using it. And I'm saying, beautiful, give yourself credit for it and decide how much it's worth because it is. Think about the things that you have done on your jobs that nobody else could do like that. And then ask yourself, what was that extra thing that you knew, you added, you did, you saw that made it like that? And you'll be able to start identifying those trauma upgrades.
And I think this just plays such a huge role in how we show up in the world with our
Yes.
self-worth, with what
Yeah,
we command, with how we price our services, just what you just
ma'am,
said. And
ma'am.
and I had a pricing expert on here, and yeah, there's a combination of, what the market will bear and,
Yes,
your expertise. Obviously, you can't just be throwing shit out here, just, listen, I
right,
charge $1 million
right.
for that. But I think as Black women, and we've talked about this in the past, because we have had such a history of service, of just giving and of just doing, that we have a hard time pricing ourselves appropriately, of asking for what it is we deserve, or requiring what we deserve to do said thing, even if it's of our time, just anything. We just feel we've been raised, conditioned to believe or respond in this way. And if we don't,
Mm.
then no, that's not the right
There.
thing to do. And,
Not
it
only is it not
shouldn't,
the right thing to do, we're gonna get punished, sis.
right.
And we know this.
And we shouldn't be in our 50s before we get this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
a lot of times, because I'm just getting it, and I think if I would have just known this when I was 25,
Mm-hmm.
35. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where would
Mm-hmm.
I be? So I think
Yeah.
this is a wonderful way that you have, I guess, did you coin this upgrade thing? Because this
I
is like,
did.
I love
I
it.
did.
Okay. The way
I
you've
did.
coined this is really powerful, because it can't all be for nothing, right?
Thank
It can't
you.
all be for nothing.
Can't.
Everything, not just as a group of, a cultural group as Black women, but
Yes.
just everything we have to go through individually,
Yes.
right? and
Yes.
and and two, and this is why I'm sitting up here on this platform, because I've had a lot of trauma upgrades, and it
Ma'am.
and I just am like, please just get the lesson, please just understand, hear what I'm saying to you. I know a lot of people who listen to me are the same age or even younger, and I can learn from younger people, just like
Oh, for sure.
older people can learn from me, and all of the things, and we all can learn from each other. But
Absolutely.
let's do that, right? But I just feel the time it takes us sometimes to get this stuff, and I'm glad that the work that you're doing, like, I just love that, because yeah, we get hardened in a way, um,
Hmm.
which I hate, but I love, but I hate, a lot
Yeah.
of times
Yeah.
we don't, our response, it could be different depending on who we're talking about. But these are the benefits and the positives that come out of it if you can learn to see it as that and not let it take you down, and not let it consume you to the point of not being able to exist or produce or survive, you know?
You know, that part. So as I started continue doing this work, so like I think I said, if I didn't, there's two parts of the work that was super important to me. Being able to work with Black women directly and be like, hey, let's learn these things about how things get planted, and let's be able to extract and rid ourselves of these vulnerabilities so that we can erase the writing that's on our foreheads. Um, but then the other part was, let's also hold the systems accountable that keep touching us the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted both parts to happen. And one of the things that I think it is so important to make sure that we say, it is not your fault, sis, that you don't know these things. Because we get so caught up in, look at all the time that I could have been doing this and could have been doing that. That's true. But then we take it to, why didn't I, as though somehow we were responsible for that. No, we were not. There are very specific things, and I talk about that, with mainstream when I do centers of must training and different pieces and parts of that, because it's like, look, let's not act like Mammy is not a thing. Let's not act like Jezebel is not a thing. Let's not act like Sapphire, aka Angry Black Woman, is not a thing. These are caricatures that were purposefully planted and utilized by the systems that harm us. And so not only have the systems been conditioned to use these, we have been conditioned to see ourselves through their mirror. And so, of course, I think I'm supposed to just do for everybody. Why? Because I've been conditioned by Mammy. Even the movies we make ourselves, the TV shows we make ourselves, still show the same type of exploitation of us. Even the people that we think are riding hard, like Medea. Oh, she's badass. Medea's a Mammy. Everybody eats off of her table. Everybody sleeps in her house. Everybody uses all her stuff. And she is expected to go hard, including sacrifice herself, even if it means going to jail to save the family. That is Mammy mentality. It is still here. It is still alive and well. And so it's not Black women's fault that we don't know and don't feel empowered to price ourselves appropriately. We don't even feel empowered to price ourselves at all. We're
Yeah.
still out here feeling like, hey, I should just be grateful to be here. I'm being
Yep.
exposed. This is
Yep.
wonderful. It's
Yep.
like, no, it's not wonderful. Don't call me passionate about my work. I am skilled. Don't treat me like I'm just out here, like a preacher who knows how to say all the right inflections. No, 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 no. I do research and I continue to do research. That's why I know more than national experts about the global understanding of violence, better than folks that have been doing this and have master's and doctorate's degrees, because I research hard because this work matters to me personally,
Mm.
right? So don't call me passionate and try to diminish me so now you don't have to pay me because I'm just passionate. No, no.
Mhm.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm. I
Yes.
defy you to find somebody else in the United States who knows what I know.
I love it.
I'll
You said,
wait.
I'm not just passionate, I'm skilled. And that is
Absolutely.
that right there. Um, we are skilled. We're
We
very
are.
I talked a little bit about intellectual property too, last week. And when we think they're not watching us, but they're
Oh,
watching,
they
so they
are.
steal,
So they can
you
steal.
know, so they can
Hmm.
steal. I
Yes.
talked about it because it's been coming up a lot, you know what I'm saying? And we just have to be, the whole video was about being caught off guard. We have to be prepared,
Look, NDAs are real. Get you some. If you need some, let me know. I'll hook you up with one. You
NDAs,
can do fine replays, all that kind of stuff. Quit talking about
trademarks,
your stuff. Yes.
trademarks,
Quit
all
talking
of the
about your stuff to
things.
everybody. Just do the
This
things.
is what I
Yes.
say, it's like until it's time, but you trademark that shit. You trademark that,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
you're gonna have
Yes.
to the US trademark patent office or
Patent
whatever,
office. Yeah. Yep.
USTPO, they have free classes. The information is out there. You can sit there and take those trainings. They do a Zoom call, I think on a regular basis. All right. They tell you exactly what you need to do, how you need to file, all the things. And you need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself and quit talking about
Yeah.
it like
And
until it's
and
ready.
look, and I don't care who it is. I don't care how close you think y'all are.
No,
Don't, because
no.
like people act like, oh well, slavery mentality, that came from slavery, and since slavery supposedly is now abolished, which that could be a whole other conversation, then that means nobody should be out here thinking like that. Please, that's not true. So of course, people are still out here going, this person seems like they have a better, they're getting better points from the white gaze than I am. So what is it that they know? So I'm going to cozy up to them and I'm going to learn some of their stuff and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to do this with it. And yeah, do I understand why we do that? Yes, because you dangle this little bit of money and go, hey, I know there's 20 million of y'all. Here's one crumb. Whoever can jump the highest, you can have it. And it's just like, okay, so isn't everybody that's standing there hungry, desperate? Aren't they all going to try to claw everybody to be that one person that jumps high enough at just the right time to get that crumb before everybody else gets it? Yes. So the system continues to perpetuate that amongst us, and we continue to not look at each other as our own natural allies. I'm looking at a sister across the screen from me in this beautiful red, this deep dark chocolate, and I'm like, yes, that is my natural ally because she's my sister. We all came over here the same way, didn't want to, and here we are. So anything that I can do for my sisters, anything that I can promote for my sisters, anything that I can push forward for my sisters, guess what? I don't even have to like you. You could be unlikable. But is what you're doing something that's going to be helpful? Then how can I move that forward?
We really need to be that way. And I've done videos about how we treat each other, right? And and I can say this because I have friendships that span the rainbow. Okay. I have friendships that span the rainbow. I have Asian friends, I have Latin friends, I have white friends. All right. I have Black women in my world that I have met as a result of this podcast that are willing to do or put themselves out there in order to lend me a hand, okay?
Hmm.
Then some of these other ethnicity of friends that I have, they always go back to the white man. They always want to give it to them, even if they know. And I'm not looking for anybody to give me anything because I work my ass off. I work. I am a worker. I'm not allergic to work. I enjoy work. But I'm just saying, natural ally is so true. And we're all not like that. I was just telling this girl today, I said, the fact that really putting herself out here to try to get me contracted with her organization, right? To do big money work, right? And
Hmm.
I know people who would never, who
Hmm.
work, I've known for years, not just other ethnicities, but Black too, who would never. But you see, you're correct. This whole natural ally thing, I just wish we could get it. I wish we could get it.
I feel like if we just keep modeling it, it'll continue to keep trickling out and just
Yeah.
trickling out. Like that's because I'm not going to change what I'm doing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to change what I'm doing. I made that decision when I was 30. I was real sad. I'd been through a lot of things, and I was tempted because I was like, you know what? Let's see what bitch mode looks like. Let me just burn everything down
Mm-hmm.
and see if everybody would just leave me alone. Bitch mode is exhausting.
And it didn't feel good in your spirit. That's not
And
who
it
you
doesn't feel good
are.
because that's not even
Yeah.
who I am. You know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying? So I'm like, you know
Mm-mm.
what? Nope. I am a loving person. I'm going to be that person, but I don't have to be naive. I can be
No.
loving and wise. I can do
Right.
both. And so it's like, okay, I'll still be loving. And even if I see that I have to keep you at an arm's distance, I can still do that. That doesn't mean I still can't promote, and I've said this plenty of times. Even if you've done something to me where I have learned, what Mama said, when people tell you, show you who they are, believe them the first time. And I
Right.
do that now. You
Mm-hmm.
show me, okay, sis, I see you. You still slashing and burning out here. You're dangerous. I understand that. I'm gonna step back. But if that sister has something going on, either that can help somebody else, I'm gonna promote it. If that sister is going through something and the only way she can get what she needs are through my trauma upgrades, I'm not gonna withhold them. Why? Because we'll help harmful men, we'll help harmful white people, and we don't make excuses to not help them. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna help this harmful black woman, and then I'm gonna stay back on my side of the fence because that's still not gonna be my excuse not to help where I know I'm the only help that can get her where she needs to be. Won't
I
do it.
I think we're doing a little better. Um, I just feel like the love and the support, just because I'm online a lot, and then just even now, sometimes we get it wrong because we have run certain people out of
Sure.
business. We have run certain people out of business, but I'm real careful about when I want to deal with black owned business. I've been wanting to deal with black owned businesses forever, right? And we don't always behave correctly in business, and I've said this and I will continue to say it. We need to I was talking to Natasha Williams. We talk about professionalizing. If you want to be in business, be in business correctly. There are things, but I have met the most amazing black women, I feel like, on this journey, right?
Mm.
There are some amazing black business owners, and I want to support them. And I feel like now more than ever, just because of what we're going through in this country, in black women, period, we're just the most entrepreneurial. And so
Yeah.
there's so much support we can give. So I feel like we are definitely improving, but when we fuck up, you know, we can be the hardest on each other. So, you
Yeah.
know,
And that
so
just won't be me. That the only way I'm gonna be tough on a sister is if you are harming us and
yeah.
you harming us and you not getting it together. Now I'm not just gonna talk about you. I'm gonna come to you and I don't even have to know you. I'm gonna get in your DMs and be like, hey, can we have a conversation? I'm noticing something. And if they'll have the conversation, I'm gonna have it. Listen, sis, this is what I'm seeing. Do you realize that this is the level of harm that's going on? And
Mm,
just like I do with white folks, I'm gonna have, tools. Hey, you know what? If you're willing, this can remedy that. But if I've given you that and then you still out here slashing and burning, then I'm also going to make it my responsibility tonight. If I have the ability to block your access to us and you're harmful and you're us, I don't care who you are, us or not us, I'm going to block you because I also think that that's part of my responsibility.
I've only heard, and everybody that I've engaged with and come across, I feel like the integrity level of the black women that I'm seeing out here has been, on 100 most of the time. There's only one. I haven't had direct access or interaction with her that I've heard things about, but mostly everyone is on some really admirable high integrity
Mm-hmm.
level type stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I haven't, I'm even hesitant about putting out certain things because I feel like I have so much integrity. I just want to make sure, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want anybody to
Yeah.
ever feel like I've taken advantage of them or anything like that. So, the journey on this, and I think what, we're both on to help Black women has been super positive. Like, just like me just getting to meet you, right? We just connected like last
Mm-hmm.
week, and it's just like, you know, and we're out here, doing
Absolutely.
amazing things. Um, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful time because growing up,
Yes.
didn't, and maybe just because like, my mom was a school teacher and a school principal. She wasn't. It was a different time. Our parents were doing different type stuff, for a living and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. There was just not this level of exposure to Black
Right.
women just doing this like we're doing it now. So I think it's an amazing time if you
I would
want it
agree.
to be, right? If you
I
want
would
it to
agree.
be. Mhm. Just
Yeah.
looking around, seeing who's out there. I was just talking to somebody about like a therapist. We were both agreeing that we knew of this one therapist that was amazing. And, I don't have a therapist right now, but I know there's one out there when I'm ready to get another therapist. You see what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so much out here for us right now. I think if we want, and there's so much
Agreed.
still, I think there's so much, I want to say excellence, but there's so much for Black women to give each other that we're not yet giving, that hasn't yet been revealed or exposed, maybe because,
Mm-hmm.
our sisters haven't taken the move to do that yet, but they're on their way. So, you're out here doing your thing, I'm out here doing my thing, everybody's out here doing their thing. So there's just a lot going on. I think it's just a really beautiful time. So, which leads me to I want you to tell us about your initiative because it sounds amazing, like what we need, and
Mm-hmm.
something I know a lot of Black women will be interested in. So tell us what you're doing, how you got into it,
Sure.
what women can expect. Give us everything.
Okay, sure. So Courageous Access started, making sure that Black women after domestic violence could rebuild emotionally, economically, that their children that they were still raising had the supports that they needed, um, all those different things. And it grew into understanding that the way that trauma impacts Black women in our bodies, we are the second shortest lifespan among women in the United States. Only Indigenous women live shorter lives than us. And it's just like, okay, but we have the highest numbers of domestic violence, second only to Indigenous women, right? They're the only ones with higher numbers that are reported of domestic violence. And it's like, you're not going to tell me that that high cortisol level that we keep maintaining, over 40% of us will experience this within our lifetime. You can't tell me that that high level of cortisol that we just rolling with, because science now backs me up, that that is not damaging our bodies. Well, we've learned now that it does. So, I wonder how come Black women don't recover from breast cancer and why ours is always so much more aggressive than white women. And it's unresponsive, but theirs is responsive. Why is that? It's not that the cancer is more severe, it's that our bodies don't respond to it. Why? Because they've already been so ravaged by the high levels of cortisol we've maintained, trying to fight off the impact of trauma and abuse. And so it's like, oh, okay. So maybe that answers the cardiovascular and the uh, autoimmune and the, just if you just name all the lists, the maternal morbidity, just keep going. We're always at the top of these lists. And so it's like,
Hmm.
okay, what if we started getting into the root of this stuff? What if we started going, hey, let's step away from all of the colonization types of ways of dealing with the stuff that's happening to our Black bodies? We're not from here. Look, there was huts in a row, and we knew which hut to go to get the vibrational healing and the healing with the water and the healing with the drums and the healing with the stories and the healing with this that we knew with the acupuncture and the manipulating body parts, and we knew all of that. Now it's gotten fuzzy and dim because we've been inundated with just take this pill and just do this and just do that. It's like, you know what? Let's step back because in my work with Courageous Access, none of those things were invoked. It is let's use artistic modalities. Let's use journaling, and then let's use music, and then let's just use theater, and let's use all these things that we know work. Let's use them so we can open up those chambers and be able to find those things to examine them and then evict those things. But we can't do it if we're closed. And those things open us up, and we know that genetically. We've just forgotten. And so it's like, okay, what if instead of just in these cohorts over the last 5 years, what if we open this up to Black women all around the country? What if we brought more than just me? What if we brought 4 or 5 of us? What if all of us had a different type of modality to use? And what if sisters could take that back to with them and model it and share it with their families and communities? What will we see over time? Because over the 5 years that we've been doing this work, not only have sisters not gone back into predatory cycles, but 80% of them also have lower recidivism rates, also have better physical health, also have better economic recoveries. Some of them now own their own businesses and are scaling and all of this. It's just like, okay, we are healthier when we have safe spaces, when we have cultural modalities to use, and when we are just allowed to truly just be. So let's set the container for that, and then let's just let sisters come on and get in here. So that's what we did. We opened up my our signature way of doing things, which we still call Empowerment Through the Arts. It's still available workbook on Amazon. Um, but now it's like, okay, let's do it in a space where sisters can get at us. So we know Chicago is it's just a place that says us. You know, there's certain places in the United States,
Yeah.
Atlanta, New Orleans, Chicago, they say us, you know. So Chicago is close to the folks who've known us for the last 5 years. We wanted you to be able to just jump in a car and drive if you wanted to. But we also wanted a place that sisters could get in and out of easily, hub wise, airport wise, and all of that. And again, a place that wasn't white Iowa that gave us a chance to be us. And so it's like, all right, well, we're gonna spend the night on Friday. Saturday, we're gonna have a 12-hour container where we're just gonna do nothing but that. And then we're gonna have tuckaways. And that's what I decided to call them because in between the sessions, and there's no breakouts because then you miss stuff and it's stressful and we're not doing stress. So only one thing happens at a time. But in between those sessions, there's tuckaways. So some sisters are going to be doing kiki time because they said it sounded good to them. Just literally exchanging numbers, taking selfies, laughing and talking, getting to know all the sisters from around the country. Turn up time. People are like, we want to dance. We got you. We gonna dance. You know, don't we always at barbecues and
Yeah.
cookouts and family reunions? That's a thing.
Yeah.
So what other tuckaways are going to be in there? We're going to let you tell us as folks start coming into this container and buying tickets and being attendees. We've got this inner circle already set up on Facebook so that you can tell us, look, I want this too. This would feel good to me too. And we'll find ways to make that happen. Because what we know right now is sisters, what did we just talk about earlier? Sisters ignore. They shut off, they shut certain parts down. I mean, it's something that is mechanically a sound thing to do. If there is something that causes a lot of cells to be used in order to conserve energy, you shut off certain parts that you think are going to contaminate or slow down the main parts that must function all the time. So I'm just going to shut down my hope. I'm going to shut down my inspiration. I'm going to shut down all those things because, we just getting our asses towed up right now. So there's no reason for me to invoke those. I'm going to shut those cells down. At the homecoming, which is what we're calling our inaugural Courageous Access Black Women's Conference, you get to hope again because you're getting actionable steps. I told y'all I believe in stuff that's actionable. I'm not just going to tell you what not to do. You're going to learn what to do so you can feel better, so you can eat better, so you can move better. Because at the end of all of this, 5 years from now, we want to be hearing the stories about sisters who are living longer, sisters who don't have those close calls anymore, sisters who, like me, after being with one of these healers, is almost 60 pounds lighter than when she was first with this lady. Like, those are the stories we need to start hearing, but we need to start hearing those stories around the country. Sisters that did this at work and took their trauma upgrades, right? And built their own systems, who are getting their reparations as they should without pass through, of how much is going to get crumbed off to you when it's your brilliance and you should be able to get the full impact of that. So literally, like, that's what we're doing at the homecoming is we're coming home to the way we heal, the way we empower, the way we level up, and the way that we do that together. Even the staff that is not Black can't come in the room. Even our meals that day are not in the dining hall. They're in our space. Like, we're not doing that. For that
Yeah.
12 hours, you do not have to switch codes. You ain't got to do nothing. There ain't no dress code. There's no expectations of you. Just turn it all off, put it all down, and come on in.
Okay, so the date, tell us the date.
October 9th and 10th, 2026.
So okay, you go into Chicago on the 9th. You're going to spend the night in
Mm.
Chicago at the facility. And it's a Q Center, you said? Q
The
Center?
Q Center.
And then it's a 12-hour engagement on healing and just Black women. Nobody
Hmm.
else, not even the Q
Nobody.
Center.
Got something to tell me, girlfriend? You better tell me in the hallway. Don't come in
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Okay, and I love that. So it's gonna be wellness, it's gonna be health, wellness, movement, artistic, just kind of
So
I don't
many
want
things.
yeah, many
But
things.
like the biggest part of it is that it's just not a feel good time, right? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to feel amazing, but it is also very intentional. So you will learn in the beginning why this stuff works for us, what it's engaging in your body, in your mind, in the just all of that, what that means. Because, like I said, these sisters ain't no slouches. These are master's level, doctorate level Black women. Like, they know their stuff. But at the same time, they're translating that language into usable, every person, everyday language for us so that it's incorporatable into our real lives with kids and pets and two jobs and all the things, right? It has to be able to fit into real world stuff that
Sure.
you're dealing with. And that's, to me, that's the actionable part because people think of this and they go, "Oh, is it a retreat?" Well, it'll feel like a retreat. The grounds are beautiful. They have 90 acres and it's grass and lakes and it's beautiful. Sunlight everywhere, huge windows and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like, it's stuff that when you hear it, like I said, well, I didn't say, one of the persons, I think I did my stuff with her in 2023. We're in 2026.
Mm.
None of the stuff that she talked about with body movement and the way that you eat did I do every day or even every week. Okay. But literally, it became a pattern of my life that started weaving its way slowly into my life. 60 pounds 3 years later. And I
Damn.
have not picked that weight back up. I just continue to keep going down. My skin doesn't sag. None of those things are going on because the weight is being lost gradually and properly and without me feeling burdened to do it.
And she's coming. She's there.
She's
She's gonna
coming. Zakia
say
Jenkins. Yes, ma'am.
See, y'all.
Mhm.
Okay, tell us what's the website that everyone can go to learn more about this?
CourageousAccess.com. It's got your conference website information on it. And yeah, everything you need is right there. Oh, so important to say these things. So you hear it and you go, oh shit, that sounds expensive, Courageous. Well, I mean, it's not, it's not free. It's not necessarily cheap. But here's a couple of things I will say. Number one, most of the time when you go to conferences, right? You got to pay for your registration fee. And then you still got to worry about what you're going to eat. And then you still got to worry about how you're going to pay for where you're going to stay. You have one price, and all that stuff is in it. Now, the night before when you check in, there's not a private dinner. You are going to be in the dining hall on Friday
Mhm,
night. Okay, you
mhm.
are. But you're going to get fed though, and it's on your ticket. And so the minute you get to the Q Center and you roll up in Chicago, that's it. You're not worrying about food, you're not worrying about lodging, and you're not worrying about what you're going to receive. That's all been taken care of for one price, and it is way less than $1,000. Way
Yeah,
less.
yeah.
The other thing that I need you to know is there's so many ways to get this paid for, not out of your pocket. So if you were half
Yes.
listening because you were doing something else,
This is the part though, y'all. This is the part. Yes.
please listen to this part right here.
Yeah.
Because it is doable. It is
Mhm.
doable without you spending a dime. So if you are at a place and they have professional development dollars, so I'm talking to y'all first, professional development dollars. I want you to know that there are some sisters just last week or the week before that said courageous. We told our boss what we was doing. We showed her the website, and she said, "Oh yeah, absolutely. This can go under PD." Her job paid for hers and a colleague of hers to go. None of that money came out their pocket, not one dime.
Cannot beat this.
Professional
Mhm.
development. So if you feel like you don't know how to speak that language to your boss and you're like, "Ooh, I don't know what to do," then whatever contact information Erin gives you for me, just say legacy. Just one word. If you find us on our socials and you're like, "Oh, there they are," just DM that one word, legacy, and we'll help you speak that language to your boss so that they will cover it under professional development. Same thing for wellness. And same thing for training and technical assistance. Well, how is that falling under TNTA? We got to remember, right? Just because we're looking at it a certain way, mainstream looks at things like that very differently, right? So the modalities and the things that you are learning to manage stress, right? To live healthier and your trauma upgrades that you're going to learn with me during that time, that makes you a better leader, right? Don't they always want you to be a better leader, right? Then that's training and technical assistance. Boom. That's a done deal. So for all of you who are like, "Ooh, yeah, me," if you're not sure how to speak that language to your boss, just say legacy to us and we'll get you straight with that. We'll give you the verbiage and we'll even talk directly to your leadership if you need us to, no problem. The other part is for those of you, well, there's two more parts. So the second one is, are you a professional that always has to get continuing education units? Do you have to keep those up? Remember, I said that these folks are master level and doctorate level in their skills. The things that they are training and teaching you in, if there's a section on the website at courageousaccess.com, click on healers and then pick read more for every single one of us because we talk about exactly what we're going to teach in the session. So now you have your language, right? To say, hey, I'm going to claim this for my CEU credits. And I've seen based on what they're talking about that I can get this many from this conference. Will y'all pay for that to send me over there? Look, for most of y'all, not only will they pay for your registration, they'll pay for your travel too. CEUs. So for those of you who have to keep those up, CEUs, you need to go to the healers pages and collect your evidence because that's how you're going to use it. Finally, for those of you who are like, "Well, I'm in none of those categories, but I got health insurance on my job and I got HSA benefits." Boom, sis. That's the last one right there that we're seeing so far. I'm sorry, I just learned a new one today, so I'm sorry. That's the second to last one. HSA. So because these are natural modalities, they qualify as complementary um, alternative medicinal modalities. That is a qualifiable expense under HSA. So if you have a card that you can swipe that is a debit card for your HSA is a qualifiable expenditure. So you don't ask your HR person, can I do this? No, no, no. Of course you can. It's a qualifiable expense. You ask them, how do I implement HSA paying for this qualifiable expense? And then that's their job to walk you through that. Finally, for those of you who are at governmental entities, just got this one today talking to an organization. They're like, yeah, we're getting ready to send some of our sisters who are leaders here, but also make sure that you talk to folks and tell them that if their organization receives grant funding from, like as a state entity, then they should be able to talk to their grant manager about their line item for training and technical assistance under their grant funds to pay for that. Now, that probably is going to be a reimbursable expense versus being paid up front. But like, hey, if you have to pay for it up front just so you can get it back, how many times do you invest way more in other people? If I had my glasses on still, I would take them off right here. In other people, because they tell you that they need it, and you will move heaven and earth for those people to get what they need. As a Black woman, you know you do. You do it all the time. I'm saying, sister, do the same thing for you. If it has to be a reimbursable expense, move heaven and earth, get that money, and then get reimbursed.
Well, Courageous has given you guys the way to go. I mean, this sounds all exciting. I'm excited about it. And I mean, why not? Why not when you've laid it all out like that? I mean, when you told me about, it's like the first one, what was the first one where your job?
Professional development?
Yes, that. Yeah, because I know people who've gotten professional development activities or services paid
Right.
for that
Right.
are, damn it, 20 times what you're talking about in price. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
So yeah, and it's very affordable. It's very affordable. It's very affordable for that. I mean, these organizations, these corporations and things like that you guys work for, this should be like nothing. This is nothing for them. This is nothing. Well, Courageous, you have been excellent, extraordinary. I've loved this conversation. I've learned a lot. New coin terminology over here. Shoot. Trauma upgrades. I love that.
Yes.
Just the way you just took that negative and turned it into a positive, really. It just and the paradigm shift that we're needing to do on the way that we think about our trauma. Yes, it's trauma. We all have it. But what do we do? What do we do? We've got it. It can't be for nothing. How do we take that trauma and utilize it for growth of our sisters or, growth of self? Just really, really good stuff. Really good stuff. Didn't know what to expect, but this is good. This is good. So, oh my God, thank you guys so much. And I'll be talking to you guys more in the future, but definitely go to courageousaccess.com to learn more about Courageous's homecoming event. I mean, this is the first time she's done this nationally, but she's been doing this on a local level for, you said 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
Yeah. And just
Going
on that
6 this summer. Mm-hmm.
At 60 pounds alone, who is this woman we must talk about, and talk to? That alone, that was like, what? Okay, I want to know more. It's an amazing time, women. It's amazing time. It's an amazing time. Get in there, experience all of it. Yeah. So thank you so much, Courageous, for joining us today. This has been great. And thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you in the next episode.